How many soldiers does it take to cut down a tree? In 1976, it took a whole army. After the Korean War, there was a demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. On this line was a joint security area called the JSA, which functioned as a peaceful meeting place for negotiations between the two governments. On August 18, 1976, Captain Arthur Boniface noticed that there was a 98-foot tall poplar tree growing in the middle of the JSA and obstructing his view of the enemy territory. So he and a few other American and South Korean soldiers went to go prune it. Since this was a demilitarized zone, they brought no weapons with them, only a few axes to trim the tree. The North Koreans took offense to this presumptuous tree trimming, and so taking the Americans' axes, they killed Captain Boniface and a few others, wounding all but one. Naturally, the Americans were outraged that their people had been killed, and of course, the North Koreans twisted the narrative to make it seem like it was the Americans who had attacked in the first place. Even at face value, this was an infraction of the neutral zone, which could lead to a second Korean War and possibly even spiral into World War III. So, the American response had to be swift, firm, and final. The White House opted for a peaceful show of force. America launched Operation Paul Bunyan on August 21st. Task Force Vieira, consisting of 813 men, was deployed to cut down the tree with axes and chainsaws. They were accompanied by 2 security platoons of 30 men each, as well as 64 members of the South Korean Special Forces. Meanwhile, 20 utility helicopters and 7 Cobra gunships did hot laps on standby as air support. America also deployed B-52s and F-111s from Guam, escorted by F-4s, F-5s, and even F-86s. The USS Midway was parked just offshore, and 12,000 American troops in South Korea were placed on DEFCON 3 alert. North Korea deployed 200 armed troops to respond, but seeing that they were outgunned and outnumbered, most of them just sat in the buses they arrived in and watched everyone trim the tree. 42 minutes later, the tree had been successfully cut down. Not a single shot was fired, and a 20-foot stump was left as a memorial to the fallen and a reminder to North Korea not to violate the neutral zone. The show of force was effective, war had been avoided, and America now had a clear line of sight without being obstructed by a tree. To this day, Operation Paul Bunyan remains probably the most expensive tree removal in all of human history.